Graylan Stewart here, entrepreneur, virtual wholesaler, and I'm just here to share my real life experiences and just share the knowledge that I have. I've been wholesaling for about 2 years now, and just kind of using this channel just to show people the real way to wholesale, like real life applicable methods that we do every single day. Not what the gurus teach necessarily, because a lot of them mostly just teach and coach and make money that way, as opposed to I make money wholesaling every day, all day. That's what we do 100%. Okay, so I'm going to go over today how to comp properties using Zillow, really just how to find the true ARV of a property. Okay, so the ARV, as you know, is the most important piece when you're wholesaling real estate, because if you don't know what a property is worth, and ARV, if you don't know, is after repair value. But like I said, if you don't know what a property is worth, then you probably can't buy it in the right way. And you also probably can't make the correct offer, and you can't sell it in the right way. So everything starts with the ARV, because if you get that wrong, then everything else is probably going to explode, right? So just want to make sure you get that right. And you can comp properties on Zillow. Trust me. We base all of our offers on those estimates. My Podio system, which is what I use as my CRM, automatically gives an offer range for my acquisition managers to gauge our buy at. So don't let the gurus or whoever the gurus and all those people out there tell you that Zillow doesn't work or you can't really count on it and that kind of thing. I mean, trust me, we do 10 to 12 deals every month, and we base every purchase on the Zillow, on this estimate. Okay. So it definitely is a good tool. Obviously it's not perfect like any other website or tool that you use out there. Nothing's going to be ever perfect, but overall, it's a great tool. It's typically in the ballpark, at least. That's all we really need is a kind of rough estimate when we're buying properties. But I will say Zillow has come a long way in the last couple of years from what I've seen. Their estimates are a lot more accurate. Now I will say their rent estimates are really accurate. I would say probably more accurate than the actual estimate that they have on the property as far as the value of the property goes. But this is just a quick overview on how you can comp a property and get the true ARV just using Zillow. So I've just got San Diego pulled up automatically just as a sample. And I'm just going to choose any random house in here. I'm just going to click on one of these. That's an expensive house, but I think San Diego probably is that way overall. But let me try to find one a little bit lower, in a lower price range, just a little bit. Not that we have to, but just easier example, I think. So I'm just going to copy this address, and we're just going to use this as our base lead. Okay, so I'm getting out of this. I'm just going to type that actual property in there now and click on that. Okay, so first of all, so when you go to Zillow and you're trying to do a Zestimate on it, a true ARV, you want to just type that property in right where I did right there, and then hit the glass, that little search button right there. Okay, so then automatically that pulls up the property. Okay, so I don't know nothing about this area. I don't wholesale in San Diego, so I don't know if that's a good deal or a bad deal or anything. We're just using this as an example. So this is 1030 Quail Street, San Diego, California, 92102. Okay, and this is showing that this is for sale. So it's listed at $585. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1476 square feet. Let me scroll down over here. Just gives you a little more information. So if you don't know how to use Zillow, I mean, this is all information that you could use when you're making purchases or when you're just trying to comp properties in general. But let me show you down here. Usually whenever you have an area right there that you typed in, if you scroll down a little bit, it'll give you properties nearby that are similar typically. It may not do it on every area, but typically will. There you go. Well, those are not in the actual area. Okay, these are. So this is 3-bed, 1-bath, selling for $555. Here's another one. But here's the deal. We don't really care about these for sale properties. So we've got our subject property now, okay? We've typed it in over here, but now we want to change this right here. Instead of for sale, we want to click on sold, because really what we care is what actually sold, right? So sold properties are what we're looking for. Now let's just click on this hourglass again. It'll pull our property back up that we searched, just to make sure we got a 3-bed, 2-bath, just under 1,500 square feet. Okay, we want to find something similar. So X out of that again. We're on sold. We got our properties right here where you can change the bedrooms and bathrooms. So it's already on 3 and 2. So that's good. It was a single family home, so you could probably take all of these off because we're trying to look for single family homes so we can find a good match. And then more, it was just under 1,500 square feet. So let's go up to 1,750 just to see if we can find anything. Okay, so we've got that at 1,750, and at the bottom here, you want to, let me hide this. Let me move this over. All right, we want to do this sold in the last 12 months. Typically, you want, when buyers are looking, they really want like the last 3 to 6 months. But if you can get in the last 12 at least, because sometimes it's harder to find comps and properties depending on how you look them up. So here we go. We got one result in the immediate area, but then there's several others pretty nearby, or it wouldn't pop them up if they weren't. But that's not always 100% true either. But for anyway, so this property right here says it's 510. Okay, so that kind of gives us a base on, and now we're on Quail Street. Remember, if our property is right, yeah, 1030 Quail Street. So this is Quail Street right here, because you really want to narrow this in. You want to be within typically a half a mile radius if possible, depending on your area. You don't ever want to cross like super major streets or highways or rivers or railroad tracks, things like that. If you're in the same vicinity, same neighborhood even, as you can see, I'm just scrolling out here on the left. And obviously when you get this down, you can comp these things in probably a few minutes, to be honest. But this just kind of gives an overview of the area. You don't ever want to cross over those highways like that. So we definitely want to stay within that vicinity where we just were on that Quail Street. I'm just zooming back in now so I can get a little tighter so that we're not searching out too far away from this actual area. Because what's in this screen right here is typically, or just beyond the screen, I think, is kind of what they show. So if we're looking at 3-bed, like our property is 1,030 Quail Street. So if we're looking at a 3-bed and 2-bathroom, and it was just under 1,500, we want similar properties. Okay, so this is a 3-2 1306. That's a little bit lower as far as square footage goes. Now this has an extra bedroom, but way less square footage. So these aren't like true comps necessarily. Like this 1.2 million, that actually is a true comp. Now, some areas you might have to go street by street as far as getting your ARV. It just depends on your area. So it's important to know kind of where you're at and where you're looking. And I don't know San Diego at all, but I would definitely research it before I would even start wholesaling there, just so you kind of have a better feel. So let's just say, for example, that this entire area is kind of all similar, meaning the half mile radius. Because like I said, some streets can be different, or across the street can be completely different. But let's just say that this is all kind of in the same area. And if you notice these, when I scroll up and down, sometimes it'll show you where these are if it's on the map. Let me scroll back out just a hair so you can see them. But a lot of times when you just hover over these, it'll show you on the map on the left where it's at. And this isn't actually showing, so it must be just outside of this area. But anyway, so we can see this 3.2, about the same square footage as 1.2. Now that seems like the only one that's that high. So that one's probably in a different area, I would say, than our subject property. It might be just outside of the area. Now all these other ones, it's got 1,300, 3.2, 4.3 for 1,400, 3.2 at 1176. 4.2. So we don't want to use the 4.2s really, because it's not really a comp. Ours is 3.2. Square footage can range, a couple hundred both ways. So ours was like 1450-ish, something like that. So 1306 is perfect as a comp. 1596 is perfect as a comp. Like I said, just kind of stay within a couple 100 square feet either side, up and down. So we've got the 535, 568. This 4 bedrooms, not really a comp because it's got an extra bedroom. This one is kind of an anomaly. I would say it's so much higher than the rest, I wouldn't even use it. But we got this one here that's kind of similar. It's an extra bathroom, but less square footage, so I think it's probably okay to use. So we've got the 660, 560, 535, and that's a 4-3. We won't use that, extra bath and bed. This is very similar. It's smaller, but it's a 3-2, and this one's a 3-2. But that one, again, is kind of a lot higher than the rest. But we got a 540 here, a 660, a 568, and a 535. So what this tells me, it just gives me a good idea of what houses that are similar are selling for. So, between 535, kind of on the low side, and I wouldn't even use that one because it just seems to be a little bit different than the rest, too much. But I would say up to 660. So 535 to 660. So maybe do an average of that, and just call it maybe an even 600 at the highest, I would say. Maybe even upper fives, because that's a 540, a 560, and a 535. So I would say maybe even just to be safe, 575. And I would say that too, when you're comping and you're trying to find an ARV, trust me, it's better to be lower than it is to be way higher. It's really good to get good at this, so you can actually find like the true ARV. And it's all relative, and it's all sort of opinion based. There's no true, facts on it as far as a right or wrong answer. So you just got to use your best judgment. But we don't want to overshoot it too high. Sure, you want to, be pretty close. You don't want to be way too low, but you don't want to be way too high either, because whenever you do try to disposition this property to an end buyer, you don't want to make yourself look like, oh, they're just stretching the truth on the ARV to make it sound better than it really is. So I would say stay pretty conservative on that. So I would say 575, kind of just an average to be safe. That's pretty good, because there's definitely some way lower than that, and there's a couple a little bit higher than that. So I would just call this ARV at 575. So knowing this knowledge, if you've watched my other videos, 3 ways to analyze a deal, we could quickly do this. If it's 575, I'm going to get my calculator out because I'm not a math whiz. So let's just call it 575. If we divide by 2, that's going to tell us kind of the quick and dirty method on how I do it. So that means 285 is kind of where I would want to be as far as a purchase price. We would sell it around that same price, maybe a little higher than that. So you might want to go in a little lower. Try to get it at 280, 275, somewhere in that range. Because what that does is the quick and dirty, just divide by 2. That's either your offer or kind of your sales price. But right in that area kind of get you in the ballpark. Because keep in mind, that already factors in repairs, already factors in the fee that you'd be getting, all those different things. So that's just the quick and dirty, just to see if you're in the ballpark when you're first talking to a seller. And they're like, if they're at 310 and you already kind of have in your mind, oh, if I divide by 2, I'm at 285. Hey, we're in the same ballpark. We're only like 20 grand away, right? So that kind of gives you an idea, at least the quick and dirty. But then you can do the traditional, and this varies on area. It could be higher in San Diego. But if you did like the ARV of 575, and then you multiply by 0.75, again, this could change depending on your area. It could be up to 0.85 in some areas. But really what that means is a buyer has to be all in at that price, so they can make their profit, right? So 575,000 times 0.75 would be 431,250. Let's just assume most houses, I would assume, that are distressed houses or a distressed situation at least, have about 25% of repairs that need to be done. So 575,000 times 25%, that number is 143,000. So we're going to take that 431, subtract 143, and that gives us 288. We want to make at least 10 grand, so my offer is going to be around 278, which is about what I said if you did the quick and dirty. divide it in half, 285. Maybe you have your offer in the 275 range, so you have room to make a little money. Anyways, there's a whole other video on that, but really I just wanted to show you how easy it is to really comp a property. And sometimes it's a little more difficult if there's not exact comps in the area. But this just gives you a quick rundown of how to do it. And trust me, we use Zillow all the time. It's not perfect, but that's the cool part about this game. You don't have to be perfect, right? Just get as good as you can and as close as you can. It is important to get a pretty good ARV because that sets the tone for the rest of the entire process, right? How to buy it, and then how much you can sell it for is all based on the ARV. So get good at that. And this is just one tool that you can use to do ARV. You don't have to have MLS access or all these special tools that you pay for. This is free. Everybody can use Zillow, and I think it's a good tool to use. And it might be better in other areas than where you're at or whatever. But overall, Zillow is great. I mean, we use it every day. Like I said, all of our buys are based on those estimates. So, and we typically do our ARV. This is one of the things that we use when we're trying to find an ARV. Cool. All right. Hope you guys liked the video. Please like, share, subscribe. If you like this content, I'd appreciate it. If you join me on other videos, and if there's other videos that you want to see or have ideas about that you'd like me to make, give me a shout. I'd love to do it. Otherwise, we will see you next time, and have a great day.